I'm just here to help. So let's go ahead and get started. This is how to become the CEO of your author business. My name is Lorna Bailey. I've been a virtual assistant since 2014. I've been an assistant to several entrepreneurs over the past few years. One of them you might know, his name is Jess. I'm his executive assistant. I've been his EA for the past 3 years. I've helped multiple entrepreneurs grow from 5-figure businesses to 6 figures, 6 figures to 7 figures, and hopefully this year 7 figures to 8 figures. Wow. So I've seen some things. I'm married to William Bailey. He is a space opera author. He has 2 books out. So I know the indie author life. Most of my clients are in the indie author community, whether it's courses, coaching, software. I also have a client who's an editor as well. I have 2 Shih Tzus. I'm a dog mom, so I have to brag about them. Their names are Bugsby and Kiki. I'm herding them around everywhere, trying to keep them contained constantly. So that's my life 24/7. I have a mysterious black cat named Wedge and Tilly's. My husband is a huge Star Wars fan. He chose his name, so if you're a Star Wars geek, you probably know exactly why we named him Wedge. That's his favorite Star Wars character. I hail from Miranda, Oregon. Go Ducks. Big Oregon fan. I love it there. And I am an avid reader, so I'm not an author. I'm on the other side of things. I love books. I absolutely love talking to authors, working with authors, and I understand your guys' struggles pretty well because I've been hanging out with y'all for a while. That being said, I even have a bookish tattoo. It's from my favorite book, A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I don't know if there's any ACOTAR fans in here. Yeah, yay! And it's to the stars who listen and the dreams that are answered. And I wanted to share that bookish quote with you guys because your author dreams can totally come true. I think it's so cool being here, rubbing shoulders with authors who are making it into not only 7 figures now, but I just saw in Mark Dawson's publishing group, there's an indie author making it into 8 figures. So that's $10 million and above in revenue. So whatever you want to do, it's completely doable. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise. And I love this quote. I have it on my arm to remind me that I can do whatever I want to do. I just have to put the right steps in order and take action. That being said, oopsies. As I mentioned before, I have several clients who are entrepreneurs. I've been in the entrepreneurial world, and I've really seen the things that make them successful and the things that don't make them successful. So I've seen lots of failures, but I've also seen lots of success. And what I wanted to share with you guys today was the things they all have in common that make them successful, because there's absolutely commonalities that come with it that I've seen. On the slide up here, I have a picture of Elon Musk with a red X on his face. It's not because I'm canceling him, but today I want us to get into the CEO mindset. So when you think of the word CEO, I know for the longest time I thought of like corporate jargon and boardrooms and stuffy white guys in suits and just a world I did not want to be a part of. But the cool thing about being an entrepreneur and having your own author business is you have control. You have the authority. You get to run business the way you want to run business. So when you start thinking of stepping into that CEO mindset, I want you to put aside whatever connotations, stereotypes you have with that aside today. Because we're going to do it our way today. We're not going to do it the corporate way, whatever way it is. I know a lot of you have soul-sucking day jobs you're trying to escape. And that was why I myself became a freelancer, was because I was tired of being told what to do and exactly how to do it. I wanted to do it my way. And that's what I love about being an entrepreneur, is you have full control of everything. That being said, there's a couple of things that needs to come into play when you start thinking about this mindset, okay? So the green slides are action steps. So this is an action step slide. This is something I want you guys to go do after this session, okay? So the first step is to write your own job description. What does it look like for you to be a successful author? What are you doing? Are you making your TikToks? Obviously you're probably writing. Maybe not. Maybe you're plotting your books and you're handing that off to a ghostwriter. What does that look like? You have to be casting a vision of where you want to go, or you're never going to know what success looks like for you as an author. Is it 6 figures? Is it 7 figures? Do you not care about the money and you just want to make enough to get by and just live a happy life, be a full-time author? What does that look like for you? And start writing out your job description. What do you hate doing? Do you hate the marketing? Do you hate the numbers? Do you hate the cover design? That's okay. You don't have to like doing everything in your business. In fact, I recommend you probably should not be doing everything in your business because you're going to lose your mind quick. You're going to be burnt out fast. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to lose my mind on the way to success. Maybe if you're a psychological thriller author, you might be. Go for it, my friend. I think most of us do not want to lose our mind along the way. So what do you hate doing? What do you love doing? Write that into your job description. What does your ideal day look like as a successful author? Do you get your kids off to school and then you sit down at your computer? Do you write in the middle of the night and that's when you're most creative? Awesome, go for it. It's your business, you can run it the way you want. And that's what you need to be focusing on. I remember when I took driver's ed, whenever I would turn, I was so distracted. My driver's ed teacher's like, Lorna, look where you're going, look where you're going, look where you're going. Because I was just so distracted by everything. And that has really stuck with me because as a CEO, you have to know where you're going. What's success look like for you? What's the ladder you're climbing and what are you really trying to accomplish here? I've seen so many entrepreneurs hit the $1 million mark. Cool. Nothing happens. You don't walk outside and there's a parade. Yeah. I may be kind of nice, but yeah, sorry to break it to you, like your mom's proud of you. You know, your team's like, woo, pizza party. That's it. And they're so disappointed when they reach that mark because they don't feel how they think they should feel. It's a number they're chasing. You need to chase how you want to feel as a successful author. That's so key. For me, I'm chasing peace. I want to have peace of mind when I go to bed at night, that I did the right thing, I helped people, and I got the right things done. That's what I'm chasing. That's never let me down. All the entrepreneurs that are chasing a number, all the authors that are chasing sales numbers, so disappointed when they hit that mark, because for what? Did they do it the right way? Did they burn themselves out? That's so key. So what does it look like for you to be a successful entrepreneur, a successful CEO, a successful author? Really, really focus on that because that's going to drive you forward. Oh, and another tip, I kind of touched on it, but what are your values as a business owner? What does it look like for you to run a successful business? I know for me, I don't work with assholes. Nope, not worth the money, never has been, never will. If you don't do business ethically, if you're not kind to your team, I want nothing to do with it. Never ever worth the money. For you as an author, is it, I never want to take away time from my children. For you, is it, I want to get 8 hours of sleep at night. What are your values? Yes, sleep, yay, don't skip out on it. I want you guys to be in this for the long haul, but as a successful author, are we not taking shortcuts? No, we don't want to take shortcuts. We want to do it the right way, and I want you to feel successful and be successful, but have peace about it and do it the right way. So what are your values as a business owner? Write that into your job description. That's super key. I love this quote from Richard Branson. I love that his name's Sir Richard Branson because he's been knighted. It's, to me, business isn't about wearing suits or pleasing stockholders. It's about being true to yourself, your ideas, and focusing on the essentials. So I know you guys are probably really overwhelmed this week. I'm not even an author and I'm overwhelmed by all the cool stuff around here. So what are the essentials of an author business? Well, I like to put it into 3 different spokes of a wheel, and I have a cute little pie chart up here that makes up an author business. So you have to write the book, you have to actually create the product, you have to publish the book, you gotta get the dang thing on Amazon, get your cover figured out, your book description, and then you have to market the book, okay? So break your business down into those 3 different spokes: writing, publishing, marketing. Okay, that seems pretty doable. I don't know about you guys, but thinking of it in those 3 categories, we can then create some organization within that and start seeing what parts of this essentials of the author business do you hate doing? What parts of it do you want to start outsourcing? What parts of it do we want to keep? If you like doing TikToks, keep doing your TikToks. I'm not here to tell you you have to give it up, but if you hate doing them, you don't have to keep doing them. You need to find what works for you and keep doing that. So as we move into looking at the essentials, we're getting overwhelmed. all entrepreneurs get overwhelmed. It's a very normal part of the process. On average, we make 35,000 decisions per day. So thus, we create more decision fatigue, because within creating a business, you're having to make decisions all the time. And as CEOs, creators of businesses, it's so easy to get overwhelmed and just not want to do anything. We get paralyzed, we get fearful, but I really want to encourage you to start thinking in terms of how can I start making less decisions, okay? When you go to the store, you already know what kind of deodorant you want to buy. You've had a brand you've worn for years. That's a decision you don't have to make. You can go right up. I know for me it's the Lady Speed Stick. It's in a little purple cute case. It's got a little black dress on it. That's the deodorant I want. That's a decision I don't need to make because I've already made that decision over and over again, or rather I made it a long time ago. So start thinking in terms of your business. How can I reduce decisions I have to make every day? You signed up to be an author, so your decision should be, what kind of character is this? What are they going after? What's the inciting incident? Those need to be the decisions you're making on a daily basis. And moving into that, the way we reduce decisions as a CEO within businesses in general is by using systems and processes. Okay, so we're creating a system, and within a system is a process. Now I know this is kind of corporate jargon because it's something we talk about all the time, and a lot of time my clients are like, I'm lost already. Like, what do you mean systems and processes, okay? I know this is something I need to do, but what does it actually look like to put this into my business? So I have a little definition here. A system is the result of a process, okay? So you have a TikTok system. You have a newsletter system, a newsletter funnel, okay? You have a system for plotting your books. You have a system for finding beta readers and getting the books to the beta readers, etc., etc. The process are the steps that make up the system. So actually, like, how you're getting the system done. So a little fun example of this is my husband and I just bought a house, and I kept losing my keys. Yay, 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 millennial buying a house. I kept losing my keys though, and my husband kept losing his keys too. So I was like, system, we're creating a system for this. So I got a cute little white ceramic bowl. I set it on my entryway table. When I leave the house, I grab my keys from the bowl, and when I come home, the keys go back in the bowl. That's where the keys live, that's their home. That's a system. Another way to think about it is when you get a prescription from a pharmacy. The doctor has to send the prescription to the pharmacy has to fill it with the pharmacy tech, whoever. Then someone has to give you the phone call that, hey, your prescription's ready. You go to the pharmacy, someone there has to check you out, you have to buy the prescription, then you have to do the little prescription consultation, boom, you're done. That's a system, okay? Start thinking about your business in terms of a system. How can we start systematizing things? And what do those processes look like? Okay, I know you're like, Lorna, I'm overwhelmed. That's okay, that's okay. My favorite term with entrepreneurs is make it messy. It's messy for everyone when they start out, okay? Very few people are organized and on top of things. They know exactly what needs to happen. I cannot begin to tell you how many people come up to me and say, wow, so-and-so is so successful. How do they do it? And I'm like, oh, if you only knew the behind the scenes of what it took to get that product out there, get that course launched. No one does it perfectly, okay? But they're implementing, they're taking action. So when it comes to creating your systems, you need to start creating what's called SOPs. Standards of procedure. So basically this is how you get something done. So you can have an SOP for your newsletter. So that way whenever you start to go to send out a newsletter, you have it written down somewhere of, okay, my newsletters include a cute picture of my dog each week, a book I'm reading, and hey, I've got this book promotion going out. If you want to get this ebook for 99 cents, go to Book Rebel or whomever it is you're publishing it through. You already know each time you go to your newsletter, you're reducing those decisions. You know what goes in your newsletter each week because you have a system for it. What day of the week does it go out? You decide that. You're making that decision for yourself, and that's going to start you getting into a rhythm of your business of building consistency, and that consistency is what's going to build your success. So start creating SOPs. I also call them get hit by a bus plan. I have these for all my clients because if something happens to me, they still have to keep their business going, and I don't want them to be left. left hanging, because that's just the worst feeling of, oh my gosh, so-and-so's sick for like a whole month, like how do I do this? You might have that when you start creating systems in your business and something happens to someone that you've hired. If you don't have an SOP, you're SOL. You don't know how they're doing it. So all of a sudden your ads go down, or all of a sudden your newsletter's not getting out because you don't have that standard of procedure. This is how I do stuff in my business. That's going to create consistency. Every time you go to Starbucks, you can order the same latte in California and get the exact same product in Virginia. That's because they have a standard of procedure. This is how we make our lattes to make sure they're going to taste the same across the books. When you produce a book, it's the same thing. It's the same process each time. You might have a little bit of a tweak it each time, but again, those 3 spokes, that's got to happen every single time you put out a book. So start reducing your decisions and start documenting them and getting them on paper. Make it messy. Literally, just open up a Google Doc. I do this with my clients all the time, and we just word vomit everything that needs to go into that Google Doc. We start reverse engineering. What needs to happen to get this product out here? What needs to happen to get this launched? Get it out of their head, because if it's just in your head, on the other side of things, and something happens, what are you going to do? If your spouse is depending on your author income and you're sick for a month, and you need to keep the business running, are they going to know where to look? Are they going to know who's on your team? If you have SOPs, you can literally hand those over to them and say, here's who you need to contact. Here's what needs to happen to keep things humming and going on. It's so key. After you get it in Google Docs, you can then go another step further if you want to, and I really highly recommend you do, by implementing it into something like Asana or Trello or ClickUp or Notion. Whatever floats your boat. There's so many project management softwares out there that are phenomenal and have really helped my clients have visibility into things of what's going on. So if everything's around up here, just swirling around, when you have it in a project management system, you have that peace of mind of, okay, I can sit down and I know exactly what I need to get done today. Because my cover designer, they need to have my, whatever it needs for their cover by today in order for my book to get out on time. So start thinking in terms of documenting and getting your business organized. All successful entrepreneurs have organized businesses. I know for you, those of you who kind of resist organization, it's true. You have to have some level of organization to keep things humming. So I want you guys to also get into this mindset of reverse engineering, okay? All successful entrepreneurs do this. This is my goal. What needs to happen? Start working backwards. And what does that look like for an author? Well, you can start your writing system. Okay, for me to produce a book, to write the book, what do I need to have? Okay, I need to have a plot, I need to have characters, etc., etc., etc. Start working backwards from there. For you to have a publishing system, I do this with some of my author clients as well. Okay, when we put a book on KDP or Draft to Digital, we have to have several things. We have to have a title, a subtitle, a cover, a book description, keywords, categories. I'm Dave's assistant, so I gotta put those in there. Those are important, you guys. Your marketing system. Are you gonna do book promos? Are you gonna send out newsletters? Are you gonna do newsletter swaps with other authors? What needs to happen to get this book out to the world? Start with your release date and reverse engineer from there. That makes it so much easier to think of in terms of, okay, it's a domino effect. This can't happen until this happens. It looks different for every author, but you need to figure out what's uniquely your system and start reverse engineering it from there. Let's see. So yeah, essentially like all good entrepreneurs are building out a plan and then they're implementing a plan. So again, it goes back to having that vision of what am I going towards? What am I trying to do? How many books am I trying to produce a year? Build out your plan and then implement it, reverse engineer. Think of things in that mindset and you'll be golden. Now, again, we're probably feeling a little overwhelmed, which is normal. But CEO does not stand for Chief Officer of Everything. Luckily enough. I love that quote. Here's another quote I love from Reid Hoffman. He's one of the co-founders of LinkedIn. And he said, no matter how brilliant your mind or strategy, if you're playing a solo game, you'll always lose out to a team. And that's very much true. A lot of people come up to me and they're like, man, Dave's got Kindlepreneur and Rocket and Atticus and Reader Scout and this, how does he do it? It's not just him. We have a huge team behind all of those products, all of those softwares. All my clients, we have a team. Even if it's not a dedicated, permanent, full-time or part-time W-2 employee, they still have a team of people helping them out. And as an author, we know that we can't do this alone. We have to have help. We have to have other people in our corner helping us. So people always ask me, what's the secret sauce, Lorna? What's the secret sauce to all these successful guys? Like, what is it? It's outsourcing. Absolutely outsourcing, okay? You need to decide what your revenue producing activities are and keep those. You're the only one that can write the books most of the time. You're the one that is the face of the brand. You're the one who, perhaps if you're ghostwriting, you need to outline the book and you need to hand that off to the ghostwriter and make sure it's up to snuff before you put it out into the world. What does that look like for you? You can have a virtual assistant. I noticed in the author community, you guys call them PAs, personal assistants. Basically the same thing, virtual assistant, personal assistant, they're interchangeable. Could you outsource your formatting, hire a formatter, use something like Atticus? Could you outsource your editing? Could you outsource your cover design? Could you outsource hiring a PA to find newsletter swaps for you, someone who's hanging out in Facebook groups, whatever it is, finding those for you? Could you outsource your research? If you write like sci-fi, military, could you find a buddy who's super into that kind of stuff and say, hey, I need you to go research XYZ for me. Do you need someone to help you research your competitor data? Whatever that is, start getting creative. And I know when you're starting out, you usually don't have a ton of funds to pour into this, but that's okay. One of the case studies we'll get into, she has her kids helping her, and it's awesome. It's super cool. They made a whole family business out of it, and I freaking love it. But start thinking about that. What are the things you hate doing? And going back to those systems. When you have a system, it's so much easier to hand that off to someone because you've created expectations for them, and they know exactly how to do something step by step by step. So there's no excuse if it's not getting done. We can say, hey, I've made it easy. Here you go. What's up? And you can kind of reverse engineer it from there. So we're going to jump into some case studies. How am I on time, by the way?
22 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so what I did was I picked 3 authors from the 20Books group. And I asked them to talk to me. And I did this by revenue tiers, okay? Because I know there's authors of all different tiers of revenue here. And so we have 0 to 25K, 25K to 99K, and 100K and above. And I did this because the conversation's gonna change as your business grows. We always talk about 6 figures. And that number is really important for a lot of entrepreneurs because truly what I've seen, that's really when you're able to go full time. Especially with the cost of living these days. As an entrepreneur, you're responsible for your 401k, your health insurance. You really, really have to decide what kind of lifestyle you want to live and start having a revenue goal. Okay, so I do that with all my clients. We set revenue goals every single year. There's this guy named Craig Martelle. I don't know if any of you have heard of him. 20 books to 50K. That's what Craig did. Or sorry, Michael Anderle did. Michael Anderle and Craig, they said 20 books to 50K. People always ask, what does that mean? They took their revenue number and they reverse engineered. How many books do they need to produce in a year in order for them to hit that revenue goal? People always get scared. Lorna, well, what if I don't reach that goal? What if I don't hit that revenue? It's fine. Nothing bad's gonna happen. I've had plenty of clients create really crazy revenue goals just because it's fun to see if we can hit it and not hit it. And guess what? Their business didn't fall apart. Everything was okay. Things were fine. In fact, it's usually a really good learning opportunity because we're able to see, okay, what went wrong? What can we do differently next year? What can we do better next year? Do we need more resources, et cetera, et cetera. So create your revenue goal. That's so key. And you have to know your numbers. You absolutely have to know your numbers. Whenever someone comes to me and they're like, Lorna, I want to start a business. I'm like, cool. Before you say anything else, go talk to an accountant. Absolutely go talk to an accountant. Go talk to a bookkeeper. If you don't know your numbers, it's tough. It's tough. Knowing your numbers gives you insane peace of mind because you know what your expenses are. You know what your budget is to produce each book. Again, you can reverse engineer. You can decide, okay, my cover is really important to me. I can budget to spend $200 per cover, $1,000 per cover, whatever that looks like for you on your budget. But once you have those numbers and you're checking them monthly, you can really truly start to be like, cool, I'm making money. Let's do this. It really gives you that confidence. But if you don't know your numbers, it's so easy to get overwhelmed and discouraged. So absolutely get together with an accountant or a bookkeeper and really just tell them what you're doing. They don't necessarily have to be a bookish accountant or a bookish bookkeeper even. They're going to know the basics of starting a business. They're also going to be able to tell you if you need to get any licenses, because it's specific even from county to county sometimes. Even though you're a digital world, we still have to follow the rules of America or wherever it is you live. And there's certain things that you just have to be aware of. What do taxes look like in your area? Because that's really important. How many entrepreneurs have I worked with where we get to the end of the year and it's tax time? And we knew this time was coming because it comes every single year. The really successful entrepreneurs know that's coming, so we're planning ahead. We're projecting ahead. I have one client, she launches a huge class. At the end of the year, it's her most successful class. That's how she pays her taxes. And it's worked great for her every year. For the last 5 years, we've worked together. That's the system that works for her. But she knows her numbers. We're looking at them constantly. Not because she wants to be obsessive, but she wants to be in the know and she wants to feel confident about them. So that's really key, is really, really focus on your numbers, create your revenue goal, and set a really big fun one. It's when you hit it, it really is like, I can do this. It gives you that confidence of like, yes, I can finally do it. I finally hit 6 figures last year with my virtual assistant business. No parade, but it was really exciting. I was like, let's do it again. Let's go. We got this. As an author, getting your numbers like really honed in, knowing your sales, and especially knowing your sales cycles, is going to also help you not panic when all of a sudden, it's June and I'm not selling any books. What the heck? Well, after a couple years, you're going to be able to see some patterns of, okay, this is a lull in the cycle. I know this comes every year. How can you prepare for it? What's in your control? Could you do more book promotions that month? Could you do more newsletter swaps? Could you really post on TikTok 3 times a day? See what works and what doesn't work. But you're able to be like, it's always scary when the sales go down and everyone's like, this dream's falling apart, the wheels are falling off. It's like, no. Calm down. We're in this for the long haul. This is normal. You're not going to have a banner month every single month. Talk to any successful author here. They all have had that point where their cycles have dipped. Kevin J. Anderson has a fantastic panel that he did this week. I freaking loved it, where he's talking about what to do when your career goes into a tailspin, because he's had several times where things have happened that were completely out of his control, but he was able to adjust and move on. And it was funny, as he kept moving through these weird things that happened, he was able to be like, one of those. All right, moving on. He didn't let it crash his whole world or just have that catastrophic thinking. He was experienced enough and just seasoned enough to know, like, okay, this is going to happen in business. It doesn't mean I'm a failure. Every entrepreneur has their slow season, and you just have to prepare ahead for it. It's so interesting to me, genre to genre, what genres sell really well during which times of the year. You'll also notice a lot of traditional publishers tend to publish books in the spring and in the fall. And they do that because those sales cycles, that is kind of the rhythm of how books are published. So they're able to kind of see, okay, putting out a book in the spring, going into the summer, going into the fall, going into the winter. And you're able to just kind of go from there and just get really comfortable with your numbers. So, all right, let's dive into the case study. So the first case study is Miranda. Hi, Miranda. She's at home watching this. If everyone can say hi, Miranda, on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Hi, Miranda.
Yay. She's in the 0 to 25K revenue, and Miranda did something really cool. So she has published 6 books on Kindle Vella. So if you don't know what Kindle Vella is, it's basically a way to produce series, and it's a serialization of a book. It's kind of Amazon's answer to Webtoons, Wattpad, where an author comes out with a chapter each week instead of a book at a time. So she already has 6 books that she's produced on Kindle Vella, but now the next step for her is she wants to pull them off of Kindle Vella and launch them as a book next year. Just one individual book and not have them piece by piece on Kindle Bella. So her goal is she wants to produce a book every other month on the third Wednesday of the month, which is excellent. She already has that date set, that revenue goal. She's reverse engineering it. And she also homeschools her kids. And she has 5 kids, I believe, so she's a little busy. That's a full-time job in itself. So Miranda's starting from scratch. She has really, truly not a huge platform. It sounded like her books did reasonably well on Bella, but now that we're moving them to KDP as just standalone books, it's a little bit like starting from scratch. So what we did was, my recommendations for her and my recommendations for authors who are in this revenue tier is to continue looking ahead, and I really wanted her to create a healthy pace of publishing and writing. Because even though she's coming out with these 6 books this year, what does 2024 look like for her? Is she gonna wanna do this again? I mean, and I told her, I was like, you have to be honest with your lifestyle. What does it look like for you to really reasonably publish a book and market a book? Do you want to keep this pace up? If so, excellent, go for it. But year after year, could we do this? Really continue to just be honest with herself and create like a word count each day, because as she's producing these books, she still needs to be writing in the background, getting ready, having things humming to produce the next book, 7, 8, 9, whatever it is for her. I also really, really encouraged her to continue to build her email list and build a system around it. When you're an indie author starting out here, please build an email list. Please, 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 please build an email list. I've seen so many entrepreneurs, influencers build all their real estate on Instagram or Facebook groups or TikTok. Those things can be taken away at any moment. Even Amazon, we're having authors now that are getting their accounts shut down for no good reason, because Amazon has some serious glitches and bugs going on right now. If you have your email list though, if email goes down, the world is ending, my friends. The world is really, really You have that direct access to your readers no matter what. So if your TikTok account is shut down and you can't get it reinstated for whatever reason, okay, we still have our email list. That's where our super fans are. We know we can get in touch with them, say, hey, my TikTok got shut down. Not fun, but I'm over here on Instagram. Come hang out with me here. I've also got this new book coming out, and you can keep on coasting along. So very, very, very important. Please focus on building your email list. That's so key for the digital world of all entrepreneurs these days. I also really encouraged her to choose one marketing channel and hone in on that. Master one marketing channel. Don't feel like you need to do all the things all the time. You're going to drive yourself crazy. And you're also not going to have success across the board if it's just you. You can't be doing TikTok and Instagram and have a Facebook group and this and this and this. You're going to get really burnt out, especially if you're working full-time or momming full-time like she is. Focus on one. So find one that you enjoy, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, sending people to your Facebook group, YouTube. Focus on one and master that, build a system with that. And then I encouraged her to move on to something like Facebook ads, AMS ads. Start mastering that, because you can't be mastering all the things all the time. You're gonna get there. You have to be patient. We're in this for the long haul, especially when you're starting out. The next recommendation I had for her was to look at her editors and her cover designer's schedules and get on their books if possible. If you find a really good editor and a really good cover designer, they're gonna get booked out quick. So that's, again, part of the organization of being able to reverse engineer your date and say, hey, so-and-so, I've got these books I want to come out these days. When do you need to have my manuscript by? When do you need to have my ideas for my cover by? Get on their schedules, get ahead, because I already have clients that are booked out through 2023, whether they're an editor or a coaching. I have one client who coaches memoir. She's booked out through 2023. Like, she's totally maxed out. We were putting people on her 2023 schedule in March because she just gets so booked out ahead. So you have to start thinking ahead. I also built her a mini system in Asana. I love Asana because it's really list-based, so if you're a to-do list person, it's great. I think it's very easy to use to add dates in. And what are we on time?
10 minutes.
Okay. And you can also now move it to a board view, but you can also look at it from a calendar view. So I don't know about you, but I'm a calendar person. I'm a paper planner person. I know that's surprising, but I have to write it down. But I still have systems built into things like Asana, Trello, or ClickUp for my clients, because it helps me kind of look ahead, predict ahead. I also have to give my clients visibility into what's going on. If So they're not asking me questions all the time of like, when are we doing this? When are we putting out that? They can go check and they have that visibility. And you can again start reverse engineering with your dates. So if you want to come out with a book on February 2nd, say, okay, I gotta have my cover to so-and-so by this date. I have to have this to this person by this date. You also don't have to use Asana, Trello, or ClickUp. You can use Google Docs. I have clients who use Google Docs for their dates, and that's what works for them. But we built out a system for her, and again, you can create templates in these project management systems that you can copy each time, every time you have a new book. Plug in your dates, have your calendar, and you can go from there. The next case study is Jess. Jess is going to be watching this later, so let's say hi, Jess. Hi, Jess. She's sick in her room here, but she is an absolutely lovely human being. So if you guys get a chance to interact with her, she writes under the pen name JD Astra, and her revenue level is 25K to 99K. So she's at that mid-tier. I wish I could give Jess a hug because this is the hardest tier to be at. It's hard when you start out, but when you are working full-time and you see that finish line of, I know I can be an author full-time, but you're really, really tired, this is a really, really tough time to be in. In my opinion, this is the hardest tier because you know you can do this thing, but you're just so close. You just have to one big push, and then we can finally reach that 6 figures and reasonably quit the day job and be an author full-time. She is writing in fantasy, game lit RPG, and she's also writing romance books next year, romance P&R to be specific. So Jess is really interesting that she already has several books published with a traditional publisher, and that's where her revenue is coming from. But she works within the publisher, so she knows the behind the scenes, and she's been able to kind of like help produce her books, so she knows the process. But she really wants to go out on her own, and she wants to publish as an indie author these romance books next year. She also works full-time. She's a consultant for several companies, so she has lots of plates spinning. She currently spins 400 plates, is what I put on there. And yeah, she plans to rapid release these books. So she's already got her dates set out. She's like, all right, I want to release them, boom, 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 boom. That seems to have some success in certain genres, and that's her goal and that's her plan. So after meeting with Jess, my recommendations for her were to, she shared with me that she is not a daily writer, which is totally fine. She writes in spurts. Again, totally fine. As an author, you have to do what works best for you. I said, instead of doing a daily word count, why do you give yourself deadlines for your chapters? So I need to have chapters 1, 2, 3, 4 done in the next 2 weeks. I need to have chapters done the next few weeks. Lots of entrepreneurs or procrastinators have ADHD, all that fun stuff. I kind of disagree with you have to have the daily writing habit, because I have worked with several authors who really wait till the last minute and then woof, like one of my favorite entrepreneurs shared the other day that her current book that she's pushing right now, she wrote in 2 weeks. She waited until 2 weeks before the manuscript was due. And I was like, are you serious? Because the book is fantastic. Like, I would have never guessed that. I don't recommend doing that to yourself for sanity's sake, but if you write in spurts, that's okay. So I really encouraged her, let's set some deadlines for these chapters to be done and reverse engineer from there. I also encouraged her to hire a virtual assistant or a personal assistant part-time. You can hire them for as little as 5 hours a month. And you can find wonderful PAs, fantastic VAs in your genre that hang out in the Facebook groups. They know the newsletter swaps. They know other authors in your genre. Just start asking around. Ask in the 20Books Facebook group, hey, I written this. I need to find a PA for 5 hours a month. That's all I can afford right now. That's fine. You have to start from somewhere. But I encouraged her to hire her a VA super part-time to help with something like TikTok, something to keep marketing those books she already has out. So that way we don't have the stress of, okay, she's ending the contract with her current publisher. It sounds like they're not going to market her books anymore. She can still market them herself, no problem. But let's keep that revenue coming in. So that way we can start having that revenue to pay for that virtual assistant, pay for the cover designer, et cetera, et cetera. Invest in a VA to help her really keep that revenue coming from her books that are already out there. She already has products. Let's keep selling them. Let's keep doing that. I also really encouraged her to set up a system for her VA, whether it's TikTok. For instance, I said you could pull quotes from your books, dump those into a spreadsheet, and then your VA can take those quotes and create TikToks for you, whether you use AI art or whatever it is. There's stock photos, stock imagery. James Blatch has a fantastic TikTok session, by the way.
Yes.
If you guys haven't watched it, go back and watch it if you want to do TikTok. It's also hilarious. It was a lovely session. But go really focus on creating a system for something like that and have that VA help you with whatever marketing channel you want to look at. Keep marketing those books. There's no reason for us not to. They're already out there. Let's really keep that going. I also really encouraged her to have her VA help her build her email list. So going in the Facebook groups, finding the newsletter swaps. Perhaps she would want to do Facebook ads. Whatever that looks like for her, have that VA focus in on that email list building strategy, because she has to start over with this new genre. And I also really encouraged her to use Trello Premium. So I love Trello. She was already using Trello, so I said, let's stick with it. Why build a new system? And Trello Premium is great. The current free version of Trello is totally fine. For Jess, though, because she's going to be having the rapid release with Trello, you cannot look at multiple boards in one big giant calendar unless you have Trello Premium. When you have Trello Premium, though, we can look at the multiple boards. Trello is kind of like a bulletin board project management system. So you can have like a bulletin board for one project, have your sticky notes in whatever columns. But Trello Premium, you can look at all those different boards, all those different dates, all on one calendar. You don't have to go to each individual book, each individual board to look at them. Okay, the next author is Melanie. Melanie, can you stand up really quick? She's here today. Yay! So I read this book on the plane here. It's absolutely lovely. She writes sweet romance, and the book's Scrooge and the Girls Next Door. It's a really great Christmas book, so definitely check it out if you like sweet romance. But Melanie is on track to hit 6 figures this year. Very, very exciting. And for Melanie, I put she currently spends 5,000 plates, not just 500, 5,000 plates. Her business is a family business, so she's got 2 of her kiddos helping her out, which is fantastic. She has been both traditionally published, and she's publishing as an indie author now as well, and she's also doing audiobooks. So she has a lot of things going on. She doesn't necessarily have a ton of structure in her business. She did have some. She has a PA. There's a couple things the PA is doing, and she wants to come out with 4 books next year. And are they all sweet romance, Melanie? Yes, yeah, that's her jam. So my recommendations for Melanie were truly, let's start stepping into that CEO mindset. Okay, we've got the revenue coming in, we've got the books coming out, things are humming, things are moving. What do you hate doing in your business? Lots of stuff. She just wants to write. Really step into that mindset. Create your job description of what does she want to do? Like, what does she really want to focus on? Because she's there. She's at that point where she's full-time. I really encouraged her to also create a job description for her assistant, because she has an assistant who was doing great. And it was so fun as I was talking to her, the light bulbs were coming on of like, oh, I can hand that off to her. Oh, I can have someone else do that. Oh, she could totally do that because she knows the genre and such. Really encouraged her to consider creating more of a assistant description, and Kathy, is that her name? Having Kathy do more things, because she's right there. Like, let's utilize Kathy. She's already in your business. She knows you trust her. Let's expand those hours and see if she can start taking on more. I also really encouraged her to create more SOPs for her business and document them, because she did say like her kiddos are helping her, and it was kind of like we have this spreadsheet here and this spreadsheet here. Things were a little haphazard, totally normal, totally fine. Lots of entrepreneurs start off that way. But if we really want to keep scaling, we don't need Melanie to lose her mind. So we need to have more structure. So creating SOPs for who's posting on Instagram, who's interacting in the Facebook group, what does that Instagram schedule look like, what is the purpose of the Facebook group, what's our systems within the marketing, what's her system for her audiobooks. She's also putting her audiobooks on YouTube, which is really cool. A little bit of a system there, but let's formalize it, let's get it structured, and let's create those expectations for the people that are helping out so they know exactly what they need to do, when to do it. My other recommendation for her was to block out CEO time in her business. And honestly, you don't even need to do this when you hit 6 figures, you can start doing this now. But Dave, every week, Dave Chesson, my client, all my clients do this, has 2 hours on a Sunday night blocked out for business planning. No matter what, he puts the kids to bed, goes downstairs to his office, and takes that time to look at the week ahead. What does he need to do? What needs to happen? Who needs to know what? What communication needs to happen? What are my priorities this week? For a minute. And kind of looks ahead. Really creating that time for you as an author in your weekly schedule to see like, okay, get organized. What needs to happen this week? Create that CEO time in your calendar. And then I also really recommended her outsourcing her ads to an AMS agency or a Facebook agency. There's wonderful ad agencies out there. Dave has some AMS agency recommendations if you want them. Email Dave at Kindle Printer and we'll get those to you. But consider outsourcing that off because right now she's doing it and she was checking her numbers each day. Let's outsource that. We can have an agency run those and she can start checking those reports weekly instead of driving herself crazy trying to check them every single day. Knowing your numbers, but again, outsourcing that to someone. And we did build her a system in ClickUp, but I realized before I handed it off to her, I did not take a screenshot of it. So if you guys want to know a little bit more about that, ClickUp's very robust. It's definitely one of the more advanced project management systems, but if you have multiple people on your team, it's amazing, amazing, amazing. I highly recommend it. And that's pretty much it. So my last thing for you guys is go forth and implement. Take time in your schedule. Build out time in your schedule. Look at every session. What is it you want to take from that session to build into your business and actually do it? Go do it. Take action. Build that time in your schedule. Okay, I went to this session. What do I need to take away from this session and put into my business? Build that time into your schedule because good CEOs, they implement and they take action. So that's all I have for you guys. I really appreciate your time. If you have questions, come and let me know. I think we're at time, so okay, you can come and find me out there. I'll be hanging out, and I'm happy to chat. I also have some rocket shirts, leftover rocket stickers.